Welcome, friends, to the second day of our 3-day program here in Sebastopol. I'm very happy to spend these 3 days with friends and making new friends and meeting old friends here. Yesterday, we spent some time in understanding the importance of a living master. If we don't have a human being as a living master to guide us on the spiritual path, we are likely to be misled by our own mind and think it's the voice of either masters who have gone away, masters who are far away, living in the Himalayas, or masters that are not in the form of a human being. And those are all messages that are given to us by our own mind. And the mind is our greatest obstruction to discovering who we are. Therefore, only a human being with that kind of awareness, where he can see us and see himself at another level, can tell us what we are hearing is our mind's voice or really truly a divine voice guiding us. Therefore, a human guide, living guide, is necessary. We also mentioned that the secret of the spiritual path lies within us. There's nothing to be found outside. So much so that even the true master is within us. The outside human being that functions as a master is a temporary affair. The master comes in a human form like us. There's no difference. This body dies, the master's body dies, we all die in our physical bodies. It's a very short-lived life in a human body. Therefore, the master could not be one who is just alive for a short time with us. So the real master is always within us. The outside master, the human being who comes into our life through coincidence when we are ready and are seekers, is a guide to take us to the real master within us. Therefore, the real master who appears in us in a radiant form or in a astral form, that master remains with us forever. He does not come only for a short period. Once you establish that contact, after being initiated by a perfect living master in the human form, the inner master remains with us forever. And that is the real master who guides us back to our true home. Our journey on the spiritual path is only up to the point of meeting that real master. We have no responsibility after that. He takes full responsibility to take us back through all the regions and all the levels of consciousness, to all different creations that take place as we go from one level to another, and it takes us back home to our true home, Satsang, where there is no time, no space, no karma, and none of the things that we are experiencing here. These things have been created here to create the opposite experience of what we have in our true home, so that when we go back to our true home, our experience of bliss and joy that exists there is intensified, way beyond what we would have had if we hadn't come down to this world of duality and world of so-called pain, terror, and misery. We've come for a short term to this world of pain and misery, not because we liked pain and misery, just so that we should be able to see what we already have. What we have in terms of our joy and bliss in our true home cannot be fully appreciated unless we can see something opposite to that. This is true of all conscious activity. Everything that consciousness picks up is known to the consciousness through its opposite. Everything that we have experience in is built up in pairs of opposites. And including the world that is of duality, the world that has pairs of opposites, becomes the opposite of the world that has no opposites, which is our true home. So that is why it's a great experience to come here and go back. Of course, the question was asked yesterday that why did we have to create so much real misery, terror, disease, hospitals, jails, prisons? Why did we have to create all this just to have a negative experience and go back to the positive experience? And I did mention yesterday that this is a created experience. The process of illusion has been used to create this reality. And when we get out of this illusion, we discover it was only like a dream. And I mentioned that if we have a nightmare of a bad dream, and we are terrified in the dream because of what happens, when we wake up, we say, thank God it was only a dream. It's exactly the same sentiment we have when we go away from this world of duality into our own true home. And we say, thank God it was just a created thing from consciousness and doesn't really exist. It was just an experience that we had. We will find that ultimately everything that we experience is experience of consciousness, including our true home. The reality is that there is nothing else but totality of consciousness. All the show is taking place within that. And the beauty of our human body and human being is that while we are in this form, because of the experience of so-called free will, the experience of having the ability to choose, we are able to become seekers. And we seek to go and find our own home. We seek to get out of this mess. In fact, if this place wasn't so messy, we wouldn't like to go anywhere. So people are disappointed with this world. Sometimes they have some happy moments, and sometimes they have some bad moments, and at the end they say, this is not a very nice place to be in. We wish we had a better place, and they like to go back home. The seeking is built into us automatically, since we have a soul that yearns to go back to its true home. We don't have to develop seeking. Seeking is there. We have to develop to get the mind out of the way of the seeker, because the mind is one that prevents the seeker from seeking within and keeps us distracted by our desires and attachments to things of the created world, in physical world, in the astral world, in the causal world, the three realms of the mind. We get trapped in these three worlds, and we go round and round in circles because of our desires and attachments. I mentioned yesterday how the mind creates time and space, and the time and space then creates the law of causation, and everything that happens placed in a spectrum of time becomes a cause and an effect, and that leads to the law of karma, and so we are trapped in that. There is no law of karma beyond the mind. There is no law of karma prevailing beyond the causal stage, from where everything is being caused in time and space, in these dimensions below. So our true home does not have any of these things, and when we go back, our joy is more than the joy of the souls that never left our home. It has been described in some of the literature how the souls that have never left our true home, which is the bulk of the souls, the many created in the one who are still residing in our true home, are called the buns, and we are called the Huns. The Hun souls, when they go back, they find that the Bun souls are singing and dancing and in bliss, and we dance even more, and we are more joyful than them, and they ask us, how come you are so happy more than us? We say, you don't know what you're missing. You haven't seen the other side. So that's why we find the advantage of a trip here in illusion, which looks like reality. And then we go back home and we enjoy our home even more than if we hadn't come here. So there's an advantage of this trip we are making here into these worlds, the three worlds of the mind. I also mentioned that it is possible for a human being in the human body to have access to this knowledge. You don't have to die to find out what happens after death. And you don't have to go through all the cycles of birth and rebirth till you reach the causal stage and go beyond. You can do it while you are still in a human body. This human body is so unique. It carries with it, inside it, centers of energy and awareness. By touching those centers, by putting your attention on those centers, we can have different experiences and glimpses into what lies even beyond the physical plane. I mentioned that the eyes of the human body are a dividing line. Below the eyes, the body functions with energies. Above the eyes, it functions with awareness. There's a big distinction between the two. When we do any kind of concentration of attention in the centers below the eyes, we are activating the energy centers and have different experiences of energy of different kinds. And all those energetic experiences we get by going to the different centers below the eyes do not give us any higher awareness. They give us great experiences of energy. But if we concentrate in the area behind the eyes and above the eyes, then we get into higher awareness. That is why many yogis and many practitioners of the yoga of the six chakras, six centers, have been working with energy all this while. Whereas the perfect living masters have come and told us that in the wakeful state, you are already at the center of the eyes. You don't have to go down and come back again. Therefore, start your journey from here and go upwards. Even those who have been practicing yoga of the six centers below, of the six chakras, they go and practice from the bottommost chakra, the Guda chakra, and come up to the various centers one by one, and eventually reach their own place from where they started. And they are often compared with petals of lotus, and they say these are the two-petal lotus of the two eyes. And then there's the four-petal lotus to start with. It keeps on increasing in the number of lotuses, which they say represents a little bit of the several organs we have in the body. And we come back again to the two-petal lotus. This two-petal lotus, the two eyes, open outward and inward. They open outward to generate the physical experience at normal physical energy level. They open inwards to start another journey of six centers that are the And and the Brahmand, which represent the astral and the causal stages. From the center of the head, they go upwards and go into Sachkhand, which are another six centers of journey. So there are 18 centers in all, and most of the yogis have been confined to the six lower centers without any knowledge of what is happening in the remaining 12 centers of awareness. The perfect living masters come and tell us, we don't need to go down, we need to go up. I have met my friends in this country and in India who have been practicing the yoga of the various centers below, and they had some difficulty to collect their attention back, even to concentrate behind the eyes, because they were so used to going down. It's much easier to go to a lower center. It's much easier to concentrate your attention on the heart center, for example, than to concentrate your attention on the third eye center behind the eyes. We are used to dropping the attention below. When we go to sleep, every night, we are dropping our attention anyway. Though we are unaware of it, the dream state, which represents another level of experiences, occurs because we have dropped our attention from the eye center down to the throat center. I mentioned how it can be tested out by anybody. When you are going to sleep at night, you just close your eyes and touch your eyes like this. The more drowsy you get, the more close you are to sleep. You try to touch the eyes and you touch your nose, you touch your mouth. Which means that what you think is the location of your eyes keeps on dropping by itself. When you're dreaming, if during a dream somebody could touch one's eyes and you just touch the physical eyes, you'll be touching your throat. Some yogis are able to do that. They're able to move the physical body while they are still dreaming. We all move our physical bodies while we're dreaming. The eyes are always in motion when we are dreaming. They call them the rapid eye movements, the REM. The rapid eye movement is indicative of what kind of dream we are having. Other limbs also move during sleep. They have taken so many pictures, videos of people sleeping and dreaming. And the video shows how the physical body in a bed is also tossing and turning depending upon what kind of dream they are having. And those videos are linked with waking up those subjects in the middle and recording what they are seeing. And when they wake up in the morning, they forget that they had any dream at all. We all dream several times a night. It's a necessary way to relieve the tension of wakefulness that we go into sleep. But every time we go to sleep, we allow automatically the focal point of wakeful eyes to drop, and it goes down. In deep sleep, during dreams, it drops even further down to the heart center. The yogis are able to drop it even further, and by practice of asanas and so on, they can take it even down. But these are all different experiences we are used to. Therefore, people who practice meditation by taking their attention to the lower centers find much easier than this business of trying to concentrate behind the eyes at your eye center. Because here we are reversing the direction of flow of attention. Our attention has been flowing from within, outside. We have been looking at things, working with things in this world by projecting our attention from within, from our conscious centers in the brain in the center, to things that are outside. It's a one-way street. We throw our attention and pick up what we are seeing. We have never withdrawn our attention anywhere towards the origin of where the attention is coming from. The secret of meditation, the secret of good meditation, of successful higher meditation in awareness, is to withdraw the attention behind the eyes, reverse the direction of the attention. Instead of it going out, it should be pulled backwards. Actually, people are so used to concentrating attention on something without realizing all concentration of attention on something is an attention going out. People make a picture, people put a drawing, they make a circle on a wall and look at it and think they're concentrating their attention. They are concentrating their attention, but not withdrawing it. Withdrawal of attention is the opposite of concentration of attention on an object outside. We don't practice withdrawal of attention. We only practice concentrating on something. So much so that even some of my friends who have been initiated for a long time come back and tell me that they sit behind the eyes by looking at their own picture, looking at themselves, that they are sitting behind, they are seeing the little self of themselves and concentrating on that. Little realizing that the little fellow sitting inside your picture that you're making of yourself is not inside the eyes, it's outside. People think that if you close your eyes, you're inside. The darkness you see when closing your eyes is outside the eyes, it's not inside. You're not used to it. You are used to seeing everything from these eyes outside. You're not used to seeing what is behind the eyes. To see something behind the eyes, you can't turn the eyes backwards. You don't see with these eyes, but you can see it by another process. A very simple process, which we call imagination. Supposing you imagine you're sitting on top of this building. You are not there, you are sitting here. But your imagination can place you on top of the building. Supposing, as great master used to say, that you imagine you're sitting on top of your finger. Even there, you can imagine you are there, you are not here. You can then bring down and take your imagination sitting inside the head. This exercise pulls you back more than any other exercise of trying to concentrate attention. That is why the secret of meditation, which we miss, sometimes we miss for years, even after being properly initiated into the techniques and the method of meditation, is that we think by closing our eyes, we are already inside our head, and that we can make our own figure sitting there, as if we have to watch a little being sitting in the little head of ours. That's a mistake, because when you look at that little figure sitting inside, that's not you. That's an image you're creating. Who are you then? You are the one looking at that image. You're behind that. You're behind and looking at that image. Moreover, I'll tell you something very interesting, that if you see an image of yourself sitting in the middle of the head, then you bring your hands up again to the eyes, and you will find that your hands will cross the image which you are seeing, showing that the image was outside and not inside. So therefore, we sometimes keep on meditating for long periods of time, and we don't realize that we have been meditating outside and concentrating our attention outside, and we fail on a very simple point, that the true meditation is withdrawal of attention and not focusing attention on something. And withdrawal of attention is new for us, because right from birth, from a newborn infant till death, all activities are tending to take our attention out. We have no activity at all that allows us to practice withdrawal of attention back to where it's originating from. We are trying to find ourself. Our self is where the attention is coming out from. At all times, there is a focal point in us from where the attention is coming out. Right now, sitting here in the wakeful state, we know we are looking out at this world from our eyes, and we are behind the eyes. We know that all that we are seeing, that if we examine our body, even with the eyes closed, we know we are doing it from the head. If we just contemplate for 5 minutes, if we are a single point of consciousness, where are we in the body? We couldn't be in the hands and the feet and the torso. We couldn't be anywhere else except in the head. And where are we in the head? In the center of the head. Therefore, that point, single point of wakeful consciousness, where the self resides, and from where the self experiences all things, lies in the center of the head. And that point in the center is a notional point. It's not a physical point. Because if it was a physical point, it would always be fixed. It's notional because it moves. It moves up and down, depending upon our state of wakefulness. If we are dreaming, it goes down. If we are in superconscious states in a higher level, it goes up. It doesn't remain at the same point. Yet, as a notional point, during our wakeful state, when we start our meditation, it's important to remember that we have to withdraw our attention to that point, not focus on something away from it. To withdraw the attention to that point behind the eyes, we have to imagine that we are there. That's the best way to do it. Imagine you are sitting. In order to imagine you are sitting in the head, in the center, you have to have a different kind of picture of your body and of your head. You have to imagine your body is a house in which you live. And there are several floors to represent the different levels of energy in the different chakras. There are 6 levels, 6 floors of this building, which we call our body. And the 6th floor is right behind the eyes. In the 6th floor, you can make a floor. Imagine there's a floor, actual floor in this building. The building is made in an odd shape like a human body. And you are at the 6th floor, sitting in the center. You have got a nice imaginative chair, you're sitting on it. You've got a nice rug, you're sitting on it. Start from there. Because when you imagine you are at a certain place, you're pulling your attention there. So knowing that you are actually in the center, you will not be looking at yourself. Nobody ever looks at oneself. Even in the physical body, we never look at ourselves. We look in a mirror to see who we are. We have no way in the eyes to look at our own eyes. Nobody can look at one's own eyes. You can't look at yourself, even as a physical body. How can you look at yourself when you're meditating? Therefore, you are not going to be looking at anything or yourself. You are going to be there. And if you are there, meditation will be successful. These little tips, it took me years to understand and learn. And I checked them over and over again with my master, great master, Baba Sawan Singh. And I'm sharing them with you to see if they help. Because many of you have been initiates and been practicing meditation. And sometimes you can be doing something for a long time and suddenly find a small tip makes all the difference. So that's why I come and share these things. And these are being shared from my experience, not from books. Sometimes people ask me, you talk so many things with such authority. In which book is it written? I tell them I never read the books. Can you imagine? The books on Sant Mat, on the spiritual path, first time I read was in the United States when I came. I never read any books in India before that. I had to read the books here because people began to quote from the books. They asked me, for example, did great master say that you have to imagine to be in the center of the head before you start meditation? I said, yes. He emphasized it. That unless you are the third eye center, don't even start your meditation. They said, where is it in the books? I said, do you know any book containing great master's teachings? Yes, we have spiritual gems. Those contain letters of great master. I said, can I borrow it from you? I borrowed and marked 11 passages saying exactly the same thing in those letters. We read these books, we read these letters only with the mind we've already made up what to read. We don't read everything. And every time we read a book, it's got something new in it. Why? Because we missed it. We are not absorbing what was in the book. These teachings have been there for thousands of years. They are not different. I am saying nothing new. This is all talk like a parrot that I am just repeating what I have heard and being clarified again and again by the great master, that unless you are at the right place, close to the 10th door, with the right direction, meditation can become just a ritual, like other rituals. Here all the perfect living masters who have come have pulled us out of superstition and ritual. They have said, don't follow blindly superstitions and rituals. Find something practical within yourself. This path is not at all supposed to be based on blind faith. It's supposed to be based on experience. Go in and find the experience. If you find there's a problem, ask the master. I have a problem. He'll give you the answer. How to overcome that obstacle, how to overcome a problem. But we sometimes take it like a religion and follow every day. We are going into our satsang. Every day we are going according to the instructions. We are following our meditation and get nothing out of it. How can somebody learning something keep on repeating the same thing over and over again, sometimes for as long as 40, 50 years, and not step up and say, why didn't I make any progress all these years? Where is something wrong in this method that I should keep on doing the same thing, have the same experience every day, and not move forward at all? Isn't it a legitimate question to ask? And who do you ask this question? Your master. He told you to do it, and he says he will give you the answers. You must go and ask these questions. So therefore, I am emphasizing the importance of some of these things, that you don't make the spiritual path into a ritual. Don't think it's just a blind thing that you have to follow just like religion. And one day you will find the truth somewhere else. The truth must be found now. This is the difference between the path of the masters and all other religions that promise you heavens after death. This one says, if you want to find a heaven, find it now. Find it while you are alive in this body. And we can do it. It's all sitting there. It's nothing to be cultivated. It's lying in us. Our true home lies in each one of us at all times. There is no distinction whatsoever between race, country, color of the skin, or what clothes we wear, what language you speak. Doesn't matter at all. We all have the same thing, including the masters. Whatever a master has, we have that too. The difference between a perfect living master and us is only this much, that we have the same things. They know it, we don't. They have experienced it, we haven't. They have gone through that, we haven't. They have realized it, we haven't. That's the only difference. It doesn't mean that they have something extra. Perfect living masters come into the human form just like us. Born, grow up, die, just like us. And yet their consciousness is awakened to the level where they can see how this whole show was generated, how it originated, in what level it has passed. And you can go through all those levels one by one with their guidance. Not only guidance, in their company. That's the best part. Their promise is, when you get initiated by a perfect living master, he says, come to the railroad station, we'll travel by train together. Come to the airport, I've got the tickets for both of us, and we'll fly together to our home. They don't say, we're telling you the way, now you go. Unlike many teachers. The teachers teach us the method and say, go. The masters say, come. They don't say, go. They say, come up to the point where we are waiting for you, and we'll go together. And the journey to the true home is always together with the master, not independently, separately. Nobody's run to Satsang on its own and said, well, I found the way and I went there. Because the mind is a very big block. It never lets you go beyond the causal plane. The mind thinks that this is the self. And when we misidentify ourselves with our mind, we get stopped automatically because we can't even know who the self is. We don't even realize mind is merely a machine, and we just can stop there. So I am overemphasizing this point, that please make practical use of meditation. Do not leave it as merely something to be believed in. And we went to temple and now we go to Satsang. We went to church, now we go to Satsang. In the same way. We believed everything there, now we believe something here. We had one religion, we found another religion. The path of the Master is not a religion at all. You can have any religion, practice any religion, go and follow any system of life, and you can still find out what's inside you. What is inside you does not belong to any religion. It belongs to all humanity. It belongs to every one of us. Therefore, the Masters are teaching something so universal, so common to all of us, that they don't discriminate. Okay, if you are in my group, you'll get something. If you're in another group, you won't get it. No master ever says that. No master comes to set up a group or a religion or a society. They come for the whole of humanity, and they come specifically to pick up the marked souls who is in their list, because they have come as human beings. They come like us. As human beings, they have a short span of life, like we have. In their short span of life, they have been given a designated number of souls who they must take home, because those souls made an agreement at the time of creation itself in Satsang that if we are unhappy in the created universe, how will we go back? What's the key? We have to go turn it back to our true home. And the key was, okay, when you are fed up, a perfect living master will come into your life by coincidence and will bring you back home. This is our own arrangement we made before we left our home. And now they come specifically from time to time with their own list of marked souls. They will take those marked souls home. Of course, because they come with all that awareness and consciousness, so many other people who are not the marked souls get great benefit. Each one of them gets marked, and gets marked for future masters, sometimes for the same master. I once read that when was the marking done? When was the soul marked to come back home? And I said, it's a very difficult question, because there is no when in such Satsang. There is no time there. You can say now, you can say yesterday, you can say tomorrow, it will mean the same thing in our true home. So therefore, when does not arise there. Therefore, it's appropriate to say, when a master comes here with that level of consciousness of his own true home and functions here with that consciousness while he is here with us, he does not call the marked souls, he marks the souls he called. It's the same thing. This is a very difficult thing for a mind to understand, who puts everything in time and space. He put everything in cause and effect. And we apply the laws of when and where to our true home, where when and where does not exist. Mind cannot appreciate that. Therefore, we make stories to show we left our true home, then we go back there. When we go back there, we'll find we never left it. Then what will happen? We'll say, what happened then? If we never left our home, what was all this journey about, all the spiritual talk about going back home? We find we never left our home. We left the consciousness of our home. We left the awareness of our home. And all we've got back is to get back awareness of every level that was created and back to our original level where we always have been. If we had left our home, the whole thing would have been destroyed. Because it was one totality of consciousness that was unbroken, is still unbroken, will always be unbroken. But the mind cannot understand it. So we make it into a story form to put it into a context of time frames, events. This happened first, this happened later. These things are all made up by the mind. This first and later and last, all this time frame is a mental creation and does not exist in our true home. So we are unable to describe our true home. Even to describe a single step above the mind, where there is no time and space. And yet we say the individuated consciousness, the soul of a human being, realizes, I am a soul. I never was the mind. I never was the body. I never was the sense perceptions. These were all covers I was wearing upon myself to have experience. Even to have that single experience beyond Brahm, beyond creator of this universe, in Par Brahm, where there is no mind, even to have the single experience of who you are. Imagine all that you are witnessing here in this world is compressed into 0 point. All the time that you have known here, past, present, and future, is compressed into 0 time. All space is 0 space, 0 time, and yet everything is alive in that. How can the mind think of it? It's beyond mental comprehension. And that's the truth. The truth is that everything is experienced at once, and there is not even at once. I'm just using a word. It's impossible to describe with our minds and understood with our minds what lies beyond the mind. Therefore, we make stories of those places. All made stories. All the mystics have done it for the sake of just sort of inducement that we should be able to travel on this path. In fact, I asked great master once, I said, when you say there are wonderful, beautiful things inside, that our astral plane and where all the heavens exist is so wonderful and beautiful, are you not bribing us? It's sort of a bribery to make us do meditation. He said, yeah, it is. He agreed. He said, it's an incentive. Otherwise, we are so trapped, so overcome by the attachments we have made, so tied up by these desires and attachments that have brought us here, we never try this method. Nobody wants to try. They want shortcuts. Go to a river, have a dip, and you are saved. Go to that place, and you have got salvation. We like shortcuts which should exist in the illusion of this created world. We don't want to go and find out how the world is created. We don't want to find out who we are. We say we are the body. Or at the most, maybe an inner body. We don't realize that these are just means given to us to have different experiences. The mind itself is an accessory, a machine given to us to have an experience of time and space. It's an experience of karma. We like that. Sometimes we don't like it. But the fact that you can expand 1 million events, or 1 trillion events, which have been packed into 1 second, and then to expand them into millions of billions of years and go over it, the great experience. A created world with no time and no space is expanded through the help of a machine, a computer called the mind, and creates a whole past, present, and future. Isn't it a great thing? We are having that machine and using it, and we don't appreciate it. Instead of appreciating what we are doing with this machine, we think we are the machine. That's a big error to make, that we are the machine. Machine is advising us what to do. The nature of time is so different from what we are experiencing it. True time is not what we think it is. We think that the future is not there yet. We have to travel to the future. Time is passing and we go to the future. The past has gone, it created events and they've gone back and therefore created history. If we find the truth that all the future is already laid out, all the past is already laid out, that time never moves, that time is absolutely still and stationary, with all events already built into it forever, from eternity to eternity, from infinity to infinity. All events have been built and produced by the mind outside, and we are time traveling on it. That we are traveling from moment to moment and having those experiences. That there is no difference between the time travel and no difference between space travel. Like we want to go from here to Chicago, I want to go to Chicago, I know Chicago is there. I'm not saying when I go, Chicago will come. I say Chicago is there. And I will travel on the way, I'll meet these things, and then I'll reach Chicago. We don't look at time like that the future event is there. As we move on time travel, we'll reach the future event, which is sitting for us, waiting there. The truth is, the creation has taken place in that way. How can we find it? When we look up from where it's created, not from here. You can't understand it from here. That is the nature of time. In any case, there is a great illusion of time that we have created for ourselves, and I'll explain it in a slightly different way. Think of it like this. Everything that we are experiencing is happening in now. N-O-W capital underlined now, the so-called present. Every nanosecond after the now is past, every nanosecond in front of the now is future. Now has no time whatsoever, not even a nanosecond. Then where are we experiencing all this if there is no time? The moment I say now, it's become past. Before I said it, it was future. Where is the present? What is the dimension of present? Just consider it. Zero dimension, even now, right now. Then what are we calling present? Why do we say we are talking in the present, we are listening in the present? We are calling an immediate past as present. What has just happened, we say it is present. Present has no time. Okay, let us look at it another way. What is past? If we can't experience anything except now, we couldn't be experiencing past. How do we experience past? Through memory. No other way. Nobody can experience the past except through memory. We can remember it, but we can't go back into it. Therefore, the whole of the past is merely remembering it. Okay? There is no time in it. It's just a memory in the now. Look at the future. What is the future? The future consists of an activity in the now called hope, fear, anticipation. Think of, we remove these three words from our dictionaries and our languages, that nobody can hope, nobody can fear, and nobody can anticipate, which is, of course, the same anticipation. Hope is positive and fear is negative. Anticipation is neutral. Supposing we cannot hope for anything, cannot fear anything, cannot anticipate anything, there is no future. Nobody will experience any future at all. Have you ever understood this? That we are creating all future by this simple activity which is taking place in the present, which is now. Therefore, how can we say that there is a future? Because hoping, anticipating, fearing is taking place in time, therefore it's immediate past. If you look at it very carefully, the future is all past too. Past is past and present is no time. We are experiencing all this illusion of time in no time at all, right now. But what a great illusion we have created that we think time is flowing like this. All these things that have been made up like that, we are experiencing in a real illusion. And only a little contemplation, little meditation, taking you to 1 or 2 steps higher can reveal all this to you from inside. You don't have to contemplate outside. You don't have to apply logic and reason. Apply experience to it. And look inside and see how it's being generated. These experiences are being generated. So I am only mentioning this. Sometimes there's intellectual curiosity for people to know these things. And for those people, they will contemplate that really there is no time. Today even scientists are beginning to say that we do not know the nature of time. It's so different. And more, Einstein threw a big spanner by saying time is different at different points in the universe. He said even in different parts of space, time is different. That itself is a big spanner. And there is in Boston, there's a planetarium, which I saw in 1963. In that planetarium, they show twin brothers. One stays on the ground, the other goes on a fast-moving vehicle. The vehicle goes to half the speed of light. And as the vehicle moves, they're talking to each other. And the flying vehicle, the brother talks from there in very fast words. He keeps on moving very fast. And this brother says, "Why are you talking so fast?" He says, "Why are you talking so slow?" And ultimately, they can't even understand each other. And the brother who has had a big trip at very close speed to the velocity of light comes back and lands after 15 minutes. He looks at his watch, it's 15 minutes, and finds his brother lived for 65 years, had a family, and died in the same 15 minutes. And this is not metaphysics, this is physics. This is astronomy. This is today's astronomy. They found out that time is at different speeds is different. They've also found out that the way we are experiencing time today is based upon the acceleration we are having in space of the Earth and the galaxy. That we are moving at a certain velocity, that's giving us the experience of time. This is physics. This is not spirituality. But you can find all this out and much more details of it just by going within your own self. True knowledge is all inside us. The outside is very limited knowledge, very peripheral, uncertain knowledge. It keeps on changing with new discoveries. The knowledge inside is very certain. It gives you the origin of knowledge itself. That's why the spiritual path that I talk of, which great master taught, is do not rely upon anything outside. Rely upon inside. I mentioned the number of words that come with the letter S that have affected my life. Like Sant Satguru, Savan Shah, my master. That Satsang, sound, Shabad, they matter so much. I'll talk to you a little bit about Satsang. What is Satsang? Satsang is sitting with a co-traveler and talking about the spiritual path and talking about the master. That's what it is. Satsang does not need a crowd of people. Two people can have satsang also. If two people sit together and talk of the path and the master, they are doing satsang. It doesn't matter in what context they are talking, it is satsang. Or you can have a larger crowd of people all listening to things about the master, about the spiritual path, is satsang. Satsang, the word itself means sat, truth, sang, company. Company of truth. That you are talking of something that leads you to the truth. So satsang is important. But supposing the satsang turns into something else, it's no longer the real satsang. Supposing we say, oh, we had a very nice satsang, the food served was so good. Excellent. Oh, we had a bandara, it was such good food. And we enjoyed it. And then after that, we had a big discussion on where to have the next satsang. Aren't you missing a point somewhere? Satsang is confined to talking of the path, sharing information about the path, getting inspiration from each other. Whether they're 2 or they're 200, 2,000, it doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter at all for satsang. What is the importance of satsang is that this mind of ours, which distracts us all the time, gets a chance to get back on track. Otherwise, supposing you don't have satsang at all, you are giving a very free rein to the mind to go in any direction. People have just gone away from the path. I get emails every day. I was initiated so many years ago. I stayed away for so long, there was no satsang there. There was nobody else around there. Satsang is very important to bring us back on track, again and again. And that's why the importance of satsang is, great master used to say, it's a fence against this wiry mind that wants to run out. Every time it wants to run out, you keep it within a fence through satsang. So satsang is an assembly where we share this thing. And if it's, of course, the best satsang is where we can listen to the master himself. There's nothing like it. Because a master does not speak from books. He does not speak from what he has learned. He does not speak from what he has been taught or what he has heard. He speaks directly from his own experience. He speaks, sometimes he speaks to us seeing the very things he's speaking about. He doesn't say there is a place where we go to true home. He knows and is seeing and is in his true home while he's talking to us like this. Therefore, a satsang in which a discourse is being held by a perfect living master, there's nothing like it. Because you're hearing truth directly from somebody who is experiencing it at that time. It's not a story made up. But the other satsang is, if the master is not there, we get back to what he said. And then understand and apply it and try to do meditation. I have always felt, like we did in the Dera in the great master's time, that we were very often after satsang followed by meditation. We would meditate because at that time we are inspired and we like to do it. And the mind hasn't still rocked us back into our daily activities. So therefore it's a good time to do it. There are groups of seekers I find even in this country where I go and meet them, and they do follow up their meetings with their meditation, and I feel very happy that they are doing something practical. But if it is mere talk, it doesn't help, because mere talk we carry, as Great Master used to say, we put it through one ear, it goes out from the other ear as soon as we leave. We like the satsangs when we are there, and when we leave, it's gone. We get back to our normal, what we call our normal daily obligations and chores of this life. What is the importance we give to the spiritual path? What is our priority in life? When we look at it, very often it's not number one priority. We think our worldly obligations, our obligations to our job, obligations to make a living, obligations to raise our family, obligations to ourselves in terms of our health, in terms of the dress we wear, in terms of the makeup we do, mainly for women I'm talking. This is more important than the spiritual path. Spiritual path can be assigned certain time and a certain priority. And you can say, I didn't get time now, I'll start tomorrow. We procrastinate more on the spiritual path than anything else. Everything else is more important than the spiritual path. How do we expect results if this is the priority we give to something so vital, something so important, that the human life has been created for that purpose? We realize that why are we human beings is we have an opportunity to open the door towards inward journey and find our true home. That's the very purpose of being a human being. And we are spending that life in taking care of things which were merely logistical to maintain the human body, and we think that's more important than the main purpose of being born as a human being. Our priorities are wrong. I've often said our whole life will change if we set our priorities right. Priority number one is my spiritual path. All other priorities follow. I cannot ignore that. It comes first. My day starts with that. My day ends with that. I compress everything else in between. Then it makes sense. Then we are making use of our days and nights. Then we are making use of our life that we've got, our human life. Otherwise, with a low priority given and a high priority given to temporary things, and then we don't realize that this body, which we think is ourself, is so temporary, and we are working mostly for this body. We want to maintain the health of this body. What about the health of our soul? What about the health of our mind? What about the health of our sense perceptions beyond the body? We don't care. We're taking care of the body. This should be healthy. Of course, it's good to have a healthy body, to be able to do meditation, to be able to follow the spiritual path. But then this should not be the only priority. We should take care of what's happening inside. This life is short. The life after this is long. The life after that is immortal. It has never been born, never died. Do we care for that? If we are going to go to our true home at any time, that will be a long, long stay forever, eternity. And here we are more concerned with the short period that we have in this body. Therefore, we have to change our priorities. We have to put that priority higher. People say the Egyptians, the pharaohs particularly, recognized that this world, this life is so short, we should rather prepare for the afterlife. They said it's equally important, if not more important, to prepare for afterlife than to be preparing only for this life. So they did a lot of arrangements. They say that they even collected the worldly things around themselves to carry them to an afterlife. Tutankhamun's grave was opened, and they found so much valuable stuff there, so much gold there, and so much nice trinkets which he wanted to carry. And we poo-poo that guy. Oh, he didn't know that he'll die, he can't carry those things. Little realizing that he carried all of them away. We don't realize how the build-up of the astral experiences. We haven't done it, we have never gone there. Do we realize that our actions here are building up what we are going to get in the astral plane? Have we realized that the use of free will here is creating an experience for us in the afterlife, in the astral plane? Have you ever checked it out? that there is no free will of this kind available in the astral plane. The free will we use in the physical plane because of ignorance of the future is the one that establishes our life and our experiences in the astral plane. Nobody's checked it out. If you check it out, you'll see the importance of what you do in this life, even for your afterlife. Even for a higher level of consciousness, you're laying the seeds of it here. We don't prepare for that. We just think we have to make plans for our physical body and physical life. And we make plans, little realizing those plans may be no use because the end of this life can come anytime. And we don't know when it will come. We have no certain idea at all. People die in the physical body at all ages. They die of sickness, they die of accidents, they die of heart failures, they die of so many kinds of things. They die of shock. The physical body is fragile. In any case dies, no matter how strong it is. And we make plans. People in my age group, I meet them sometimes, making plans what they'll do in 10 years, 20 years later. They're already in the 80s, half the foot is in their grave. And they're making their plans. I'm trying to build a new building there. I will be using it for the rest of my life. And the rest of the life maybe one day, maybe a few minutes. So we are giving so much importance and attention in our priority to something that is so temporary. And then, what happens if we overplan and give an undue priority to this life and don't care at all for what happens after that? Then we regret it. Then we regret when death suddenly overtakes us. Oh, I wish I had done that. Oh, I wish I hadn't done this. And all the regrets and guilt and all that suddenly sweeps upon us while we are dying. What kind of preparation is that? If you prepare for life, you should also prepare for death. Prepare for a nice death. I came, I meditated, I found out the secret, what I could find in a human body. I achieved what I had to achieve. I'm happy, I'm going successfully. That should be the kind of death we should have. Not that we are regretting, oh, I made a plan, it didn't work out. Oh, I was attached to that person doesn't go with me. Oh, I built so many properties, I can't live in them, I can't carry them into heaven with me. They are all lying here. It is said that Alexander the Great, a great conqueror who fought many wars, particularly he raided several temples and places of worship in India. And that's why he's remembered a lot in India as a great conqueror who killed so many people, maimed so many people, made so many women widows, made so many children orphans. He's remembered for that cruelty that he inflicted on people. Why? To gather the gold and the valuables they were stored in those temples. To gather those valuables from this, he bagged them, put them on his horses and camels to take them back to Egypt. On the way, as many of you studying history would know, he died. He could not go back to his own capital. On the way, he was sick. His doctors told him, who were physicians who were with him, you have no more time to live. Your end has come. He said, no, I cannot die. A gypsy told me when I was young that I will not die till this earth turns into silver and the sky turns into gold. Unless that happens, I will not die. And that hasn't happened, so I can't die. When he got so sick, they couldn't travel anymore. He had a silver armor, which was laid on the ground for him. And they put it there. And there was a little big golden umbrella made of solid gold. They put that gold on top of him to shield him from the sun. And he saw silver below him and the gold above him. He knew he was going to die. He said, I committed so many crimes. I killed so many people to get this wealth that I'm carrying on my horses and camels, and nothing will now go back with me. Can anybody give me anything? I'll give the whole wealth to anybody who can give me time enough to go back to Alexandria, to my own place, to my capital. And they said, there's no way. Not all the wealth of the world will take you there. And Alexander the Great said, then do one thing. When I die and you bury me, when you put me in the coffin, keep my hand outside. I want to show my empty hand, that even Alexander the Great came empty-handed and left this world empty-handed, could not carry anything. And his wishes were fulfilled when his coffin was made. If you go and study in Egypt, his hand was left outside the coffin to show that he went empty-handed. The point of the story is that we get so attached to things, nothing will go with us. Neither friends, nor family, nor things. And how much we are attached and trying to protect those things here. Where is our priority? They are meant for use while we are in a human body. Nothing goes with anybody. We have seen it. We see other people dying, leaving everything behind. And we think we will not die, we'll carry everything with us. What kind of mistaken notion we live in? With intelligence and everything, we still want to gather more of these things which will never go with us. And we gather so much stuff. When we want to move from one house to another, we find we have bags full of things which we have never even opened. We go and store them in a new place and never even open them. There was a princely Maharaja in India, in Patiala state, and he came to London to buy things, and he bought whole stores and packed them. He died so many years ago, and I remember seeing the boxes are still stored that he bought, never even opened them. What kind of shopping are we interested in? What kind of activities are we indulging in, knowing that this physical body is a very temporary thing? It will not go with us. Shouldn't we spend our time more wisely and allocate a proper time, proper attention to something more vital and more long-lasting, like the spiritual path, for which this body alone is a useful tool? If we become a tree, an insect, a horse, a cat, a dog, we can't do this. If we become an angel, we can't do this. If we become a cloud, we can't do it. The only form in which we can find the way out from here, from this big mess, is the human body, the human form. Why are we not making use of it? It's so important to take advantage of it. Therefore, I say, let's check our priorities of life and put them in right order. Let's put the most important need, while we have a physical body, to go within, find the route that have been told to us, and find our true home, find the entire route to our true home while we are still here in the physical body, and die with great contentment and peace that we came and accomplished what we came for. People keep on saying, what is the purpose of life? Isn't it clear that human life is the only gateway to your own self, to your own truth, to your true home, and therefore that would be the purpose? Where's the question about it? Human life, the purpose is to find your true home, because you can't do it in any other form. And that's why I keep on advising myself and advise everybody, straighten out your priorities. It's all right to enjoy this world. You came for that. We didn't come here to this world to face misery. What did we come here for? We came here for adventure. Of course, adventure consists of ups and downs. Adventure likes pairs of opposites to work for us. We came for adventure. We came temporarily, and we wanted to go back home. We got trapped out here. And somebody is telling us now, you can get out of this trap. And the way out is within. The way out from this mess is within yourself. You're carrying that real temple of knowledge, temple of salvation with you. We run to outside temples built by us and totally forget the temple that's been built by the Creator and given to us as a human being, as a human body. The true temple where you can find knowledge is always with you. You're carrying it on your head. People even designed the old places of worship in the shape of the head. Many old places of worship with steeples and all were shaped like the headwear they were wearing at that time. Many of the people who shaved their heads off and bald, you see the domes even today. Most of the Buddhist stupas are made in that shape. Most of these places which were used for worship was an external symbol. It was externalized to remind us that the real thing is right inside our head. They made it in the shape of the head to say, if you go in there, you'll find truth. You go in there, you find the real truth. There you get the learning of what to do. Here you can actually get it. We hear sounds inside. They put sounds in those temples and those churches and those places of worship. We hear bells inside. They installed the bells there. Whatever instruments we hear, they installed outside, and we began to listen to the things outside, thinking that is salvation. That was merely a symbolic message to us. We are getting these symbolic messages day and night. So much has been arranged by us to remind us what to do with this physical body and how to go within. And we miss the point, and we think that to follow things that are outside is what will give us salvation. We read more. We worship outside. We worship outside things. We go to man-made places and forget the God-made places in the name of the very Creator who gave us this ability to go within our own temple, sitting on the body. We go and kill people because they don't agree with us. We destroy their man-made places of worship. We destroy even the God-made places of worship in the name of the same Creator who gave all of us the same equal opportunity. What kind of use are we making, even of our knowledge of the Creator? In the name of religion, in the name of God in His various names. Look at history. What have we done? Destroyed the temples that they're created by God in order to protect a temple created by a man. I mean, this is odd. Somewhere we have gone wrong with our priorities. So, my sharing with you this information is not to lecture on the spiritual path, but more on setting our own priorities right, so that we can look at our life and say, what was more important? How much time am I giving to this? How much attention I am giving to this? How much attention am I giving to meditation? Meditation is a means. It's not the end. If you say, I meditate all my life, what have you got out of it? It's a means. You have got nothing if you've got nothing beyond it. But meditation is a means to an end, and those means of meditation can be used over an extended period of time in our priorities. Somebody asked Great Master, is 2.5 hours of meditation enough to get results? He said, no. How can 2.5 hours put towards discovering yourself against 21.5 hours spent in discovering this world be well balanced? That's not balanced. We sleep, we work, and 2.5 hours we say, now we are thinking of God. It's unbalanced. Where is the priority? But we have to do our work in the world, we have to do a living, we have to do jobs, we have to cook and eat, we have to feed our families, we have to do all those things. How can we do that if we don't give attention to those things and do only 2.5 hour meditation? He explained how meditation can be extended. One part of meditation has always been the repetition of words the Master gives. We call it Simran. And that repetition of words can be done at any time, not necessarily in 2.5 hours. You can do it while cooking. You can do it while walking. You can do it while doing most of your chores. If you do repetition in your head, walking, talking, doing things in the world, you extend the time of meditation. Then there's another way. Why are we trying to do this repetition? To bring the memory and image of our Master, living Master, in our head. What about thinking of Him when we are doing worldly work? What about doing a professional work and saying, Master, you're helping me to do it? The thought goes to Him. It's meditation. If this kind of meditation is done by us, you know what happens? When you go to sleep, you are doing the repetition. You wake up in the middle of the night, your mind is already doing a meditation. When that happens, think of it. You are doing meditation all the time. Great Master said to me, if you do that meditation, you will see that the only time when you need to move off from repetition of these words is when your very intellectually deep question has come up and you don't want to scatter and have to concentrate on that. He said that never takes more than 2.5 hours in 24 hours. The true meditation is when you are off meditation for 2.5 hours and 21.5 hours you're in meditation, you're successful. Don't think meditation is merely sitting with eyes closed and doing something. Meditation is if you're thinking of the Master at any time. If you're doing something and saying, Master, you're helping me, it's meditation. If you're repeating the words mechanically, creating a habit in the mind to repeat the words is meditation. Because that habit will continue to make you do the words in the sleep also. These are great tips given to us how to convert meditation from 2.5 hours into 21.5 hours. Then it's tilted very much in the right priority toward the spiritual path. And we can all adopt this. So there are so many of these little things we don't take note of and we don't follow them. I'm sharing these things with you today because very soon, in the next month, I will have completed 76 years of my initiation. They're not a small time. Most of you are not even born when I was initiated. I spent my life criticizing initiation. I spent my life questioning it. I spent my life as a skeptic. I spent my life checking it out and eventually coming back on track and testing it out. And I know that Great Master gave us the ability to doubt, question, find out, verify, stay on track, never leave it, and ultimately find what the truth is. He never said, don't question this. He never said, don't be a skeptic. He said, to be a skeptic is great. You will remove the hurdles of your mind if you're a skeptic and ask questions. If you never ask questions, those questions will haunt you, and your meditation, you will never succeed. So, on this path, it's not blind faith. Okay, I've told you, now you go and meditate, don't ask any questions. Whoever says that is not a perfect living master. Perfect living master encourages us to question the whole thing. He says people who have a quick belief, suddenly they believe in something, and then they cannot keep it up, lose their faith as quickly as they made it. But those who have questioned and come to get the answers to their questions and satisfy their mind before they satisfied their soul, stay on track all their life and are more successful. Therefore, you must ask questions. If you make no progress on meditation, it's your right and obligation to ask, why am I not moving forward? And your master is responsible for that. Therefore, don't take this like religion. Don't take this path like that. It's not that. It's practical. We did some short sessions of meditation yesterday, just to introduce you to what the route is that we have to take. We'll do more today, if you are agreeable. How many of you would like to do practical meditation? We'll do it this afternoon. We'll have a break now for some time, and then we meet again later in the afternoon. And I think some of you have asked for personal interviews one-on-one. You can check with George or Wendy what time has been assigned and when we can meet. I will be here the afternoon. I have invited one friend of mine to join me for lunch today. And I invite others. How many of you are over 85 years of age? 1, 2, 3. I have 3 guests for lunch today. Welcome. Okay. We'll get together. This is called the Old Man's Club. We are all like a family. We are all co-travelers. We are all going in the same direction, to the same destination. Some of us have been wavering around and going through different routes, but doesn't matter at all. The destination is still the same. And I have never bothered about people saying, oh, this was the right path, this was the right path, that's the wrong path. That's useless discussion, according to me. Follow the path which leads to the same destination, a discovery of your own self. Who are you? If you discover the self, you are just one step from discovering God, the Creator. The discovery of the self is the most important thing. If you discover who you are, you will find out very quickly who your Creator is, and that you are part of the Creator. Have been part of the Creator at all times. Thank you for very patient listening.